This is Unit 1, Introduction to Access, Topic A, the Access Window Components, and this is the second video. The next component is the ribbon, and the ribbon has various ribbon tabs which we use to navigate between the main areas of the database, starting with Home. And on the Home ribbon we find various commands that we typically use when we create and when we navigate within an Access database. The ribbon bar has a collapse ribbon button on the right hand side, which collapses the ribbon, and if we want to open the ribbon again, we simply click on the main menu item, and there's a little pin the ribbon on the right hand side, a little button which we use to permanently pin the ribbon and keep it open. If we want to use the ribbon continuously without minimizing it, we click on a specific main menu item and pin the ribbon bar in place. The next component, if we click on the File menu, takes us to the Backstage view of the database, and in here we have various menu items on the left hand side, from Info to New to Open, Save As, Print and Close. The Info part of the Backstage view contains information about the particular database that we are using. It identifies the database, and it allows us to do things like compacting and repairing the database, which is a topic for a different module, encrypting it with a password in case it contains sensitive information. To get back from the Backstage back into the database window, there's a little back button that we click, and we're back into the database window. So we've had a look briefly at the menu bar at the top. We had a look at the ribbon, how to minimize or pin the ribbon. Now let's have a quick look at Access Help. In Microsoft, the Help button has always been and continues to be the F1, so I am pressing the F1 key on the keyboard, which pops open Microsoft Access Help. That is one way of accessing the Help database for Access. There are different ways of doing that. I'm going to close Help and show you a different way, which is simply to click on this little Tell Me space on top of the ribbon, which we can simply use to type in any natural language question, and the relevant topics will be displayed on the screen. For instance, a list of different topics, for instance, design a new form. If I click on it, I can, for instance, get help on how to design a blank form, and Access will take me to the right place and help me to design a blank form. I'm closing that particular part of the screen and back to the Access window components. On the left hand side, and very importantly, we have a navigation pane. The navigation pane on the left hand side is currently minimized, and there's a little shutter bar open close button which we use to open or close the navigation pane. The navigation pane contains, in a database, a list of all the different components of the database. Because we're using Northwind Traders at the moment, it shows first of all the Northwind Traders main menu, or it can show the different object types, which we will discuss later. Things like tables, create dates, and a whole lot of other information that might be relevant to the way that we use the database. So again, the navigation pane on the left hand side is minimized or maximized. Again, we want to sometimes minimize the navigation pane because we want to have as much space in the database window itself. So there we go, minimizing and maximizing the navigation pane. The next component is the database window itself, which is this big open space which takes up most of the screen. I'm going to just open on the object types menu on the navigation pane and go look at tables, for instance. When I open a specific object, you'll see that the database window itself is now populated by whatever object I'm opening in Access. These objects take up the whole screen typically, and every object has a little screen tab where we can have more than one object. If I, for instance, open another table in this database window, the different objects, in this case 2 different tables, are identified by their little tabs on the top left, and by clicking on these tabs I can move between the different objects. And then importantly, on the right hand side is the little close button where I can close the objects that are in the database window and return to a blank database window from where I can access, using the navigation pane, I can access whatever other object I might want to use in my database. At the bottom of the screen is the status bar, and the status bar typically gives us information about what we're busy doing. On the left hand side is a little status indicator that says ready. More about that later when we go into different modes in Access. The mode indicator will change. On the right hand side, for instance, is an indicator that tells us that numlock is enabled. If I press the numlock key on the keyboard, it disables numlock and that indicator disappears. This is the end of topic A, Introduction to Access, the Access Windows component. We'll be moving on to topic B, Exploring Access Databases.